Well, the idea for Swallow came from my grandmother, who was a homemaker in the 1950s in an unhappy marriage, who developed various rituals of control. She was an obsessive hand washer, and she would go through 4 bars of soap a day and 12 bottles of rubbing alcohol a week. And I think it was a way to find order in a life that she felt increasingly powerless in. And my grandfather, at the advice of the doctors, put her into a mental institution where she received electroshock therapy, insulin shock therapy, and non-consensual lobotomy. And she lost her sense of taste and smell. And I always felt that there was something punitive about how she was being treated, that she was being punished in a way for not living up to society's expectations of what they felt a wife or a mother should be, and for being different. And I wanted to make a film about that. But hand washing is not very cinematic, you know? So I remember seeing a photograph of all the objects inside the stomach of someone who had pica that had been surgically removed and put on a table. And I was fascinated. She does not see a connection at first between the pregnancy and the swallowing of the pica. I don't think she sees them as related in her conscious mind. In her unconscious mind, yes, they're very much related. The pregnancy triggers the pica initially. But like a pebble that's dropped down a mountainside, it starts as a quiet rebellion against her patriarchal system, against her paradigm, and then it grows into an avalanche. You know, because one of the things she realizes at a certain point with the pregnancy is that the family is kind of using her as like a vessel, you know, that she doesn't really have control over her body, that they're using her to continue their legacy. And so by swallowing the objects, she's sort of saying, well, I do have control over it. It's my body, actually, in a way. You know, I come from a feminist family where we were taught that feminism is for everyone because it's about equality. But in my 20s, for a number of years, I identified as a woman, and I wore women's clothing and had a different name, and lived as a woman for about 4 years. And that was a very important time for me. It was one of the best times of my life. It was a very wonderful experience. It was also a big eye-opener because when you're raised as a man for a lot of your life and then you transition, you see the differences about how the world views women. And it solidified a lot of my feminist beliefs, and I realized, wow, there's a lot of sexism that's baked into the cake of society. I was very fortunate. 2/3 of our cast and crew were women, and I was really lucky to have so many amazing female artists who made my grandmother's story their own. And it's really, you know, I can't take credit for the film's authenticity entirely because so many of their voices were part of the film. In terms of the ending of the movie, I don't want to talk about the ending because I don't want to do any spoilers.